Gringos explodiram a fúria. Vamos ver. Videozinho do
MW0.
Smoke Mid. Videozinho do Smoke Mid, velho. Vlog da Loud. Tem vlog da Loud novo? Deixa eu ver. Loud Valorant. Pô, já vi o vlog da Loud. Se for esse de 5 dias atrás... Ah, eu já vi, guys. Vlog da Loud já vi.
MW0.
Vamos ver o Plat Chat descendo o pau nos nossos meninos, mano. Tá no canal? Tá, eu assisti na live.
Okay.
Did you see it?
I saw it, the post, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm going back and look at some of these clips. This dude is actually playing. So in console Valorant we were casting the other day, util is optional. Gunfights are supreme. And MW, I'm convinced, was raised on that as his bread and butter. He was around the dinner table just fucking chewing down console Valorant. Because this motherfucker is not using his util to set up anyone.
80% of the time, when MW uses a single breach flash, they won the round. But they lost the game. So
That is a...
these stats are
hilarious
ludicrous. What I'm watching in their games just looks like they're not quite ready for the tier 1 level. When I was watching this, Crew were allowed to do anything they liked in this game. Anything they wanted to do, any space they wanted to take. 2G did not want to fight them. It felt like watching a team where they were all scared to be the person that lost the round for the team.
Yes.
So no one did anything.
Caralho. Os caras, mano, os cara
Black
nianguizaram.
Friday já passou,
Ah,
mas
não começa Smoke Mid com esses AD aí, velho, fajuto.
Mais um episódio do Plat Chat. E durante o programa, eles analisaram as campanhas de Fúria e 2Game no VCT Kickoff. E eles fizeram críticas pesadíssimas aos times brasileiros. E separamos aqui para conferirmos. Mas antes, já confere se está inscrito aqui no canal e deixa aquele like.
Vocês estão inscritos no Smoke Mid? Estão inscritos?
Now Wyatt River, you made a take based on off-season performances of Furia that they were going to go on a run.
Oh, yeah.
And holy shit, that hasn't worked. I mean, they got really unlucky in terms of their visa stuff, but
It was a short,
oh my God.
a short stint. It was tough, it was tough for the boys after. Now the thing is, I was with Brennan Hook last week when he was discussing the flight times, the traveling, the delay, the getting there just before that initial game. Sure. I wrote that one off a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Give
I
them
was
some grace.
I was worried. I was worried. And no, they continued to just completely flop entirely. Evidently, once a year, Furia are granted 2, maybe 3 weeks where their players all sync up into being in elite form at the same time, and they can look white hot. And they expended all of that energy to win an off-season tournament and showed up completely cold. Just nothing positive about this team for me to really take away from these initial games. Like the player form was like Havoc had some okay moments, but the comps they were running, they were behind the meta. Immediately when you see what they're running against EG, just look at the comps. This game's already over. They lost. Like, literally, they lost before the game started. Yeah, pretty disappointing. The teams that are running these old looks are looking quite flaccid in comparison to the teams that have jumped headfirst into the Tejo Breach meta, which is just the best shit out. If you're not playing that, I think you are full stop trolling. The winner of Bangkok is going to be the team that is the best with this comp, so long as the agent doesn't get nerfed by that point. Running the
statement muito forte, hein?
Cypher Sage into the Breach, like...
They weren't even being
no
funny with it
comparison.
like Team Liquid. They weren't even like I wanted Rafa to be straight up
no
trolling with
humor.
it. No humor with these
Just
games.
sad.
If I may,
Yep.
I can fix them.
Oh my God.
And I know that Brazil's not going to like that because we have issues that we need to work out. I've gotten over it. Brazil hasn't. Okay. But I've gotten over it. But I can fix them. in the politest way possible. How
velho.
in
How?
the world do you not have Pete
eu falei
playing
sobre isso.
initiator after the performance he had last year?
Yeah, that is mad.
What is
isn't it?
going on with the roles of this team, dog? Why are you putting this guy on
It's a
Sentinel?
great question.
What the hell is going on with them? MW0, okay.
Did you
Okay.
see it?
I saw it, the post, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm going back and look at some of these clips. This dude is actually playing. So in console Valorant we were casting the other day, util is optional. Gunfights are supreme. And MW, I'm convinced, was raised on that as his bread and butter. He was around the dinner table just fucking chewing down console Valorant because this motherfucker is not using his util to set up anyone. And I'm like, okay, there's some fundamental issues here with potentially the roles. Like if you MW is an incredible aimer. One of the things that we've seen many teams do is put your incredible aimer that just slot them into a sentinel role, which is going to restrict them a lot more, but it means that their role is defined in the server and they know exactly what they need to be doing at a given point in time.
You
and
do
they're
all your
self-sufficient.
util in the pre-round, then you
simplify
just
the
get to
game.
shoot your
Yeah,
gun.
it simplifies the game for them, and you boils you down to they know what their objective is at the start of a round plan. For example, like attack side,
Sure.
defense side, whatever, and they can just focus on aiming and going through the motions a little bit more. And it's worked a lot for a lot of different teams when they put these aimers on that role. I don't understand what they're doing with the roles. It's in a weird place. Like you could even try and lean into double duelist. I don't think it's
Eu cheguei a falar que talvez a Fúria mudar o Havok pra Sentinela, o Hit pra Iniciador, quer dizer, pra Flex, que o Rafa tá como Iniciador, e o MW em volta de Duelista, tá ligado? Seriam essas funções que talvez, essas mudanças que eu talvez faria. Mas eu não colocaria o MW de Sentinela, não. Mas eu tenho um puta feeling que não vai mudar nada. Que a função vai ser as que tá e eles vão ter esses dias agora, esses meses aí, né? 1 mês e meio pra treinar, mano, e arrumar a casa.
good at the moment. I don't think it's the best comp to run into, but you can run it. The meta's pretty open at the moment. And the roles are just whack, man. They are whack, and they are looking like like Wyatt said. I gave them a big like pass, I think, from their opening game because whatever they've had a lot of issues with just visas, with getting into the country, everything else. It's a lot to move thousands of miles and settle back in, but this is atrocious. I'm expecting more than this, man. This is just absolutely
I
atrocious.
have a clip I want to play. Let me
gotta
find this.
let's bring up the Reddit post though first, if you wouldn't mind, because this has got to be one of the best Reddit posts that I've ever seen posted on Valorant Competitive, because it's just such a great breakdown to annihilate MW0's role usage on these. For example, right, if we're focused on map 2 where he was playing Breach, he never used a flash in 15
Oh, God,
of
that's
the rounds.
disgusting.
25% of the 75% of the rounds.
It's crypto
he didn't
throwing
use
esque,
a
dare I
flash.
say. It's we've got bitcoins on the match type beat.
80% of the time, when MW uses a single breach flash, they won the round, but they lost the game. So
That is a
these stats are ludicrous.
Cara,
I mean,
esse
like,
post aí foi absurdo.
once in a lifetime level kind of stats, and I love that they pulled these. It's so nerdy, it's so funny. The thing about his Sova as well reminds me of when I was learning how to play Sova like a few months ago. Terrible Sova. Learn how to play it a little bit. It's still not great, but like this is the same thing that I was doing. Never using my shock dart. Never knew like the right timings to try to go for it. Just felt like uncomfortable because you want your rifle out and then you want like. The drone is easy to use if you're thinking intuitively about when you need to be like.
O problema é que esse post levou muita atenção pro MW, tá ligado? Mas o MW não foi só ele o problema. Lógico, ele não usar skill e tudo mais é um grande problema. Mas, mano, parece que ninguém pedia skill, sabe? Parece que ninguém conversava sobre isso. Parece de fora. Que o time também não queria, sabe? Que faltava, mano, muitas outras coisas, mano.
in space or looking for info, but come on, how are you never using the recon dart?
Yeah.
The recon?
Literally
He died in
regen.
6 rounds without using
That's
a recon
unbelievable.
bolt.
That is actually unbelievable. How does your beginning round protocols not have you using the recon in some way or form to take a bit of space at the beginning or to get some mid-round
on
information?
attack.
In
4
5 of the
times.
rounds, he didn't use the recon bolt at all. I mean, I suppose in 6 of the rounds, actually, sorry, he dies without using his recon bolt. But like, these are not him always taking early duels. Like, a lot of people are just going to fire the recon dart at the beginning of the round, but he's not always taking early duels. Sometimes he's just not thinking to use it.
Yeah.
Sentinel is the only role that he really hasn't ever played. I remember him playing Killjoy, I think, on one map on Bind ages ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
In 2023 Furia, I believe. But he
played a lot of Sky.
There must be a role swap at some point. Yeah, his Sky was good when Sky was very meta, but at the end of the day, he's always been a Raze player.
You know, the classic thing you're always looking for when you're going for aggression there. You have Breach, 2 flashes, a stun, tons of tools to fight. You've got Raze, you've got a Roomba, you've got a lot going for you. And you think a team so studious like this would win. Oh, Roomba. There's a teammate behind him. Swings alone. Passes the broken Roomba, dies.
This is
okay.
not good.
It's okay. It's a 4v5. No other mistakes are going to be made. You're Furia. You want to take a fight. Okay, we're going to group up. We're going to fight through A main. Look at the utility. Can you zoom in, Kurt, please? Look at the utility. Oh, full Breach utility. Dry swing, dead. Next player goes. Dry swing, dead. 3 players push into A main with a full belt of Breach utility available. The only thing used was a Roomba for Raze to solo peek, and they all fucking die. That is like
Essa jogada foi foda.
unfathomably egregious. And it wasn't even like a coordinated double swing. It was one at a time going. They're just feeding the meat grinder and using no tools to help.
Would you agree with me, though, that 2G actually end up looking worse than
Yes,
Furia?
100%.
Oh,
Sim.
yeah,
100%.
definitely. A quick point. What's interesting is a clip like what Mimi has just shown. If you go back and watch Furia in the offseason and Loud in the offseason, that looks like a clip from Loud in the offseason. That's how they were playing all of their maps. And they have completely flipped that around. They look fantastic now. And Furia are looking exactly how they did. So uncoordinated,
Caralho, velho.
lacking basic utility usage, just so many dry swings being punished.
5 períodos de CS jogando Vavá, é.
I want to move on for us to talk about 2G briefly, though,
Yes.
here. Because theirs is an unfortunate story as well. I mean, we've already discussed a lot of the, like, big issues with orgs moving over from South America or Latin America. And they also have an underage player who can't play until June 2nd, something like that, which is really going to hurt their season. But what I'm watching in their games just looks like they're not quite ready for the tier 1 level. When I was watching this, Crew were allowed to do anything they liked in this game. Anything
Não, é
they...
o pior que, mano, a 2Game pareceu muito mais fraca que a Fúria, mesmo com a Fúria errando tanto, mano. A 2Game pareceu muito pior, mano. Muito, muito. Foi bizarro, velho.
wanted to do, any space they wanted to take.
Horas pesadas.
2G did not
Pô, mas é
want
isso,
to
pô.
fight them.
Porque se você
It felt
pensar,
like
essa
watching a
crew
team
não
where
é
they
um
were all
timaço,
scared
mano.
to be the
Os
person that
caras
lost the
sentaram
round
na
for the
2Game
team.
como se
Yes.
fosse,
So no
mano,
one did anything.
puff.
I feel for this team, man. They like what Josh said. Like they're scared to be the player to step up and potentially lose them the round. But it's almost like they don't believe they deserve to be here. Is the way that they're playing. Do you know what I mean? Where like they're all, it's almost like I don't know. They've got to the stage, and I understand that they don't have the full roster, and there's all sorts of other issues that might be compounding this performance. But the way that they play is with so much like trepidation that they just don't.
É.
They don't.
agree.
Sometimes you just got to go for it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you'd have to
Maybe
take
they'll
a
learn that.
risk.
Maybe they'll learn it when they look back on their games, and maybe they'll get a bit more confidence behind themselves. Maybe it'll take Spike being added back into the team for them to rediscover that level of mojo.
They should be able to get that back even without Spike. I totally agree with Bren. My overarching takeaway from watching their games is that their biggest, the biggest enemy of them, was just their mentality. They lost the psychological side of the game.
Definitely.
Before even entering the server, it felt like when they played their first match, Mitch said at the beginning of the cast, which I think is a pretty important point, that you have the Ascension team coming into their first game and they're the favorite on paper because the other team is missing. And obviously they should be winning that game, but it's going to deal plus 500,000 psychological damage when you're then losing that game, coming in as the Ascension team where you're now the
isso que é foda.
favorite in a game where you shouldn't be. You
Isso
should
é
be an
foda.
underdog. It's very strange.
And you're also playing against tier 2 players. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like you're supposed to be the best of tier 2,
Like-
and you're just getting slapped around by other tier 2
Yeah,
squads that have been
we've-
mashed together.
We have seen these players individually all at various times in the Ascension tournament dunk on the guys on M80, etc. Those are the same caliber quality of players as the Furia Turtle Troop roster that came in. It's not like crew are like so much better individually skilled than Turtle Trooper M80. It's a massive
Though-
psychological booming that has occurred with this team that they have to dig themselves out of for stage 1.
Caralho. É, os caras pegaram pesado, mas, mano, eu nem culpo os caras de pegar pesado porque foi o que aconteceu, velho. Foi realmente o que aconteceu, mano. Foi uma two game. Mano, uma two game irreconhecível. Irreconhecível. Talvez essa two game apareceu no VCB, em momentos ruins do time no VCB. E também foi, velho, uma fúria com muitos erros. Muito ruim, velho. Então eu não culpo os caras, mano. Tem que falar mesmo, porque não dá, né, mano? Nós temos 4 times brasileiros, velho. 2 já perderam de um jeito absurdo, enquanto Leve e Cru estão vivas, tá ligado? Nós temos muitos times BRs ali e 2 dos nossos times já foram de saco. O NA adora cornetar os times BR sem ter moral pra isso. Não, eu concordo. Não passa o plano porque estão jogando Fury to Game. Os caras estão praticamente dizendo que a M80 que foi capaz de merecer estar no Tier 1. Não, ele não falou isso. O que eu senti é que ele falou do tipo... Mano, a 2Game ganhou de caras do calibre desse time que da Fúria reserva. Então, tipo, tecnicamente, eles têm nível pra ganhar desses caras. E eles eram favoritos. E eles foram amassados, tá ligado? É meio que isso que ele quis dizer. O problema do Brasil é o Brasil. O último brasileiro campeão foi a Loud. Na real, o único brasileiro campeão foi a Loud, né? Das coisas. 2022, 2023. Aí, lógico, a 2Game ganhou a Ascension em 2024. Mas dos internacionais grandes, do VCT, no caso, só a Loud conseguiu algo, né? E agora a gente tem que ver se essa nova Loud, se esse novo MBR vão conseguir alguma coisa.